I got tired of using the scissors that came in the kits. I don't know if you guys get any scissors with your kids, but when I was in school, they used to give us these scissors that were either too tight around the knuckles and stuff, so it made it hard to actually be able to cut hair. Now, have any of you guys started using scissors to cut hair yet? You have? You have? No.
So the one on me, I don't speak English very well, so.
Oh, okay. Well, can you guys translate for him?
Absolutely, que si alguna vez has usado tijeras ya.
No.
So he has
Sí,
it. And you? Poquito? Poquito bueno? Or English, sorry? A little English? Alright, so if you guys don't understand me, just let me know and I'll slow down and so he can translate, okay? Alright, so I created these because, like I said, I got tired of using the traditional rounded ring scissors, because what happens is when you use them, they tend to slide in and out your hand.
Okay.
So it makes it very difficult while you're cutting to keep a controlled grip throughout the haircut, because you're all constantly having to readjust yourself. So what I did is I designed a handle that would conform to the natural ways that we hold the scissors. The octagon ring is to fit your fingers naturally versus the rounded ring, so that you don't get this sliding when you cut hair. And the shaft is designed this way so that you can naturally lay your fingers and be able to cut perfectly.
¿Entendieron lo que dijo?
Pues,
Lo que él se cansó, las tijeras que nos dan en el kit de la escuela, todas son como redondas y a veces se queda el dedo arrancado o no puedes meter el dedo bien o se mueve por ser circular. Entonces la que se inventó es como el octágono. Es que tiene como 8 lados para que las puedas coger mejor.
So you guys can pass it around. Check it out. So, when we start, I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a men's regular haircut. I don't know if you guys have ever done that or seen that, but pretty much the men's regular is like the basis for all scissor haircuts. Whether you're going to do a comb over or comb back or the pompadours or what's the other one? The man bun, any type of haircut that consists with scissor work, it all comes from a men's regular.
You're gonna go from that length to like a medium length or short?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna start with the 8 and do the rest with the scissors. So you can pass those around so everybody can check them out.
Esas son las que él se inventó. En vez de circular es octágono para que puedas manipularlo mejor. You sell left-handed too?
Yeah, I don't have any left-handed with me, but yeah.
But you do have?
Yeah. Those are my 7-inch, 7.5 inch.
Like on the 6 and a half, 7.
Yeah, these are my 6 1/4. Right, these are the 6 inches, and these are the 6 1/4. I use those.
Son 6, 6 y un cuarto, y dos son de 7.
I use those.
Esta es la más grande.
Esa es la más grande, viene esta que es de 6 y un cuarto y es 6 pulgadas.
So I use the 7 inches. They're good for beard trimming and scissor over comb, and those are what I'm going to use right now for the freehand when I start the haircut.
Which one, 6 1/4 or 6?
I usually I go back and forth between those two.
Me gusta el 6. Yo con la pequeña, when I started cutting at a shop, like I'll snip myself with the short one, so I started buying long ones so I could go over.
Right.
I know I'm not supposed to go past one. Con la pequeña, me cortaba mucho aquí. Con la pequeña.
So a lot of the women like using the 6 inches. That's what she
Yeah,
has.
she likes that.
And the 6 1/4s are, since they're a little longer, the men like using those.
I like 7.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm gonna see what
Yeah,
you do.
the sevens are pretty much what everybody wants.
Esa es muy parecida a esa que
Luego
tenía.
estás aquí porque voy a probar.
Tenía una chiquita que entonces me pasaba de nudillo y me metía el tijerazo ahí.
Esta es más chiquita entonces.
Pero bueno, también que yo lo que llevo cortando es
Now I'll give you guys,
yo he aprendido.
I'm gonna give you guys, once we start, I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come on and try them out and cut some hair too.
Okay. How much you sell them for? I like the
So-
way they feel.
So retail is $350 for the 7 inches.
Okay.
It's $200 for the 6 inches and $270 5 for the 6 1/4. But since you guys are students, I always do like discount prices for students. So 7 inches, everything would be half off pretty much. So the 7 inches would be 150, 100 for the 6 inches, and like 150, 125.
What about thinning shears or?
The thinning shears, yeah, I hate thinning shears. Thinning shears. These are 30 teeth thinning shears. And I sell those for $325 retail.
How much? 325?
Yeah, but for the students, if you guys are looking to place an order, well, I can do those for the same amount for the 125.
And then you sell them as a kit as well?
Yeah, if you want to get the set, like if you want to get the thin shear and either of the sizes, you can do that too.
Okay. ¿Individual o como un set?
Yeah, the set you will get this case. It holds, the case that holds both for you. You get a foil, you get the tension. This is the tension screw, and what this does, it adjusts the tension that you cut with. So you can either make it a little bit more loose or a little bit more tight. Yeah. This is the key off. You also get a foil. I don't have, but you get a little oil bottle so that you can oil it up, and a cleaning ball too. Once on the side to begin with, then you can start moving in to cutting with the scissors.
What do you mean by 8, 4, 6, like?
Oh, the number they usually get on the side. So when the customer sits in your chair and they tell you what type of haircut they want, I want to get a men's regular, whatever, or I want a comb or whatever. So you ask them what number do they want on the side, how low do they want it on the side. Some people like to get the ball fade, some people want the 1, 2, 3. So whatever number it is that they want on the side, that's what you start with. I started with the 8 because I might have to use this later with the other class, so I just wanted to leave enough there for the so I can cut the other for the other class. But so this is the 8, somewhat, whatever. But we'll be able to see it better once I start cutting with the scissors.
Okay.
So then the next step would be to wet your hair. Now, depending on how much they want to cut off, is going to determine how much hair you're cutting off. So, like I said, we're just going to do this one straight back. And let's say, for instance, they wanted to comb it over. You do your part. Now, some customers like the hard part, some of them like the natural part. You know, it doesn't really matter. As long as you give them a nice part, whether you have to go back and do it with the trimmers, that's all that really matters. As long as the part is nice and clean. And you explain that to them, so I don't know if they understand that or not.
Que a veces el cliente te va a pedir pues, él está partiendo el cabello para que el cliente se pueda peinar de lado. A veces el cliente te va a pedir que le haga la línea con la papillera, con la maquinita, o a veces le gusta natural. Entonces él lo está haciendo de una manera donde le puede ya para hacerla con máquina o sin, dependiendo de lo que el cliente quiera.
So because this is a mannequin, you're not going to be able to see the part all the way that good. But let's just,
no ver la línea tan perfecta como la cabeza de alguien.
so let's just say our parting is right there or whatever, and the client wants to comb their hair to the side, but on occasion they want to be able to comb it back also. So you do your parting, and now it gives you a guide when you start cutting, because you would do all of this to A2, but since it's having so much time, I'm gonna just do it with the scissors because it's so hard to cut. So you would do your 8, all this would be the 8 or whatever number that they want, all of this as well, and then you would have your hair on top that you combed over. And the reason that you start combing over now, because this gives you an idea of what the haircut is gonna look when you finish. So once you cut the hair in the style that it's supposed to look, when it's done, it makes it easier. So So this is just preparation, kind of like when, I don't know if you guys ever worked in a restaurant or anything like that. You have food preps, they prep the food. This is pretty much the same thing. You're preparing the haircut. So you done did your part, you done combed it over, and now you can start. Now you can start with cutting the hair. So I like to start at the top, and I do my first parting. And this first parting is for guidance, because you're gonna use, right, you're gonna use this part to cut all the way back. Parting it is hard, because you can get lost, but once you get the hang of it, it's your best friend. What I suggest doing is starting off with like a little bit of hair.
Okay.
So you see, I only parted a little bit of the hair in the front, like where the bangs would be at.
Yep.
Right? So as the customer, you're facing the mirror and you're showing the customer, hey, how much hair do you want me to cut off? Customers don't know, they'll say an inch, but they really want this, and obviously this is more than an inch. So you show them how much hair you're cutting. Is this enough? Do you want more, less, or whatever? So for now, we'll just start here, and if I need to cut more, we'll cut more. So, you do your part, then cut off. Now, another thing that you also want to make sure is that the hair is damp and that your client's head is always straight. Because if they're kind of crooked, it's going to cut the hair crooked. Exactly. And the reason you want the hair to be damp is because if it's not, then you lose where you're at. Because the hair gets all over the place and you lose your guide, you lose your parting, and you start to cut into hair that you don't need to cut into.
Siempre que ya corta, siempre que uno tiene el cabello bien mojadito para que no, es como no está mojado, pero no está mojado, entonces se le mueve. Cuando está más mojado es más fácil de manipular. Y lo que él está haciendo ahí, está sacando, ¿cómo se dice? Un part, la guía del frente, y ya con esa guía él se va yendo hacia atrás.
El mojado se le pone una guía.
Claro, es más fácil de manejar el cabello.
So he asked if I put anything in my water, and yes I do. I usually put conditioner in my water.
Okay.
And the reason I put right, so it can leave like a lotion type of feel on the hair, because you get a lot of people here whose hair is knotty. So when you comb it, the comb gets caught in it and it hurts the client too.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful of stuff like that.
Le pone un poquito de acondicionador al agua.
So yeah, I like to put a little bit of conditioner in the water. That way it gives it a little bit of moisturizer and it's easier to comb through the hair. So.
And there's also some hair types that they soak up the water quickly and it dries quickly.
Yeah, it dries quickly, so you have to keep spraying it.
Yeah.
Kind of like drench somebody's hair.
But when I see tutorials of people cutting with shears, their hair like stays wet the whole time. So maybe because of that, the conditioner.
Some of them might have conditioner in it, or something else that's keeping the hair more
Silky, yeah.
moisturized. Yeah. So as you can see, our original guide. Our original guide is that. I'm probably gonna cut a little more, make it shorter. Here. So once you have your first initial guide, now you take your second parting behind it. And then you comb. And what you're gonna notice is where your first guide is.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can see it?
And when you got it cut, yeah.
Right. So you guys can see the first guide, right? And this is where we cut. And you're gonna keep this pattern going all the way. Yeah. You got a question?
No, all the way back.
Oh yeah. You gotta keep it going all the way back.
And keep the same strategy, I guess, no matter the hair length, if it's shorter, if it's longer, whatever, do the same thing.
It's the same thing. The only difference is how low they get the size. depending on how low they're gonna get the size, like if they're starting with a 1, then you would really wanna keep the 1 low. You weren't here when I was saying this earlier. The reason we wanna keep it low is because if you take it too high, once you start getting to the area where you have to cut the hair with the scissors, it may overlap. So it may look like a man bun instead of a full comb over and blend it properly. So I like to keep it like right here where the sideburns begin, a little arch on the sideburns, and it gives you a guidance around your entire, remember the occipital bone. So that gives you reference points to start with and to end with. Sorry guys. So I'm gonna do one more and then somebody will come and do one as well. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
Usted que ya sabe cortar, deja el duro.
Vamos a aprender la otra.
You wanna do it, bro? Alright, so we'll do this one and then she can come and do the next one. I'm gonna let everybody get a chance to at least get one cut in. So basically when you come up here, you're gonna do the parting, you're gonna comb it, you're gonna find the guide, and then you're just gonna cut. And you don't have to be perfect, because this is class, this is where you can mess up. This is where you wanna mess up. The strategy, the point here is to get a handle of two things. Being able to hold the scissor in your hand and the comb in your hand at the same time. Being able to palm your scissor, this is called palming. And being able to hold the scissor and the comb together in one hand, so that you don't never do this. Put it down.
Yeah, I already got that down.
Yeah, since you're in the shop, you already
Yeah.
kind of familiar with it. Put it down.
My weakness is the section.
The section. All right, I got you. I got you.
And I'm also left-handed, so it's working the opposite of you.
All right, I got you. So, keep in mind, palming, holding the comb in one hand, and being able to transfer it to the next hand, and doing your part, and keeping everything under control. This is critical when you're using scissors, because your client is paying attention to everything you're doing. So if you're not doing this smoothly, they'll know something is up, and they'll be iffy about sitting in your chair next time. Like clients can tell who's rookies and who's not. You know what I mean? And the best thing that you want to do to help yourself out when you're servicing the client is to seem as if you know everything that you're doing. Because once the client starts thinking that you don't know what you're doing, they become skeptical. And that makes you even more nervous in doing the haircut. And you don't want to be nervous.
Dale.
Come here, I'm gonna show you.
Usted sabe hacerlo.
¿Seguirlo matando?
Sí, seguirla aquí a que
¿La línea?
Everybody's gonna do it.
Y la forma que estamos matando a la mujer.
Pero con la tijera en la...
We're gonna do this one, the small one. Alright, so the first thing is your comb. ¿Está bien? Alright, hold on. Wait. I keep doing parting like this. So we all.
¿A 90?
So it's 90 all around, except on the sides they give a number, correct?
Exactly. But for now, don't think about like the 90 or the 80. Just kind of get comfortable with holding the scissors in your hand and being able to do the parting. Because once you're able to get comfortable with that, the 90 and the 80, that
How
comes
do you
naturally.
determine when to do a 90 or an 80?
Okay, so when you're at the top of the head, it's always going to be, when you're at the top of the head, it's always going to be a 90 because you're going all the way up. When you're over the side of the head, it's going to be an 80 because you're pulling it to the side.
Pero viejas.
Muy molesto trabajar con él.
Sí.
And it wasn't como, remember how Thomas was showing you on the mannequin outside the other day?
How would you do it since you're right? How would you work the left side?
This side?
That side is in your favor. This side would not be. You know what I'm saying?
Same way.
Like when I do,
It's kind of tricky. You're right.
when I do a comb over to the right side, I work from the front back.
Mhm.
That way I can,
You go like this.
I go that way.
You
I
go this way.
From the front to the back. Yeah.
From this way.
No.
You
Like
go this way.
Like if the mannequin is there, like I'll start here and then I go back.
Right. So you go front and you come back this way.
Back.
So the way I like to do it on the left side is I go back and work my way front. I do it the opposite. You know what I'm saying? I
Okay.
come back here. I work this
This
way.
way you work your way. Yeah. But since your guy is in the front,
Because the guy is always in the front. That's why I start here. So you can always come back to your guy in the front and do it that way.
so you pick up the guy,
Yeah.
and then you pick it up again.
Yeah. Alright, you can go next.
I'm good. Let them do it. I'm still confused with the.
No.
Like I'm lefty. So.
No, porque está la guía de la yaca.
Yeah?
Who wants to go next?
What? The dog? Yeah, that's all right.
Dice la guía de
Like, pero ustedes en ese
adelante.
momento están yendo todo alrededor. You guys are just going around the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna get even anyways. So.
Ahí sigue la guía. ¿Viste?
And this is called a moving guide. What we're doing, this is called a moving guide, because all you're doing is taking the original glasses. All you're doing is taking the original guide and you're moving with it.
Following.
You're following. It
The
never changes.
whole ahead with that guy.
You want this one or you want that?
¿Qué tamaño?
Okay.
Y aquí como son todas las
So
guías.
tell them to do the same thing. Tell them to do the party.
Pártelo.
Party.
Ah, como que si vas a hacer un combo.
First party. And party is a hard one. I know. It took me a while to get used to it too.
You know how many videos I've watched and I still don't get it?
So I get. Trust me, it takes time, but this is the best place to learn. 'Cause I didn't know how to do scissors either. You can ask Thomas. That was like the only thing I didn't know how to do.
Aparte de complicado y
That's what that's exactly what you have to get
Push
used
those
to.
right here.
That's exactly what you have to get used to. And it's only gonna come with practice. Yeah.
Moja el pelo si quieres un poco más porque
Ese corte.
with the hair.
lo que estaba diciendo del profesor que era mejor coger un peine más finito para este tipo de pelo lacio, pues para que no resbale tanto el pelo.
Oh, you said
Alright.
that Thomas was telling him to use a regular, a finer comb, like a
Black comb.
Oh, you can use that.
Not like that, like a regular comb.
Oh, like the
Yeah, regular black.
A este tipo de pelo era mejor eso, para no resbalar, no lo veo.
Sí, pero él está usando eso porque como el pelo es largo, está más largo ahora por eso.
Because you're gonna end up cutting the same place.
Right.
So tell them to keep the parties.
Ajá.
Keep the parties.
Hazle la guía. ¿Cómo se dice?
La guía.
How do you say it in Spanish?
So.
Comb in Spanish.
Oh,
peña.
Peina el pelo para el lado. ¿Ah? Y después viene para acá. ¿Me entiendes?
Pues no todo para acá.
Mira.
Él quiere hacer como lo va a dejar como para que el cliente le va a peinar de lado y hacia atrás, si quiere. O sea, como dos estilos,
Vas a hacer como un combo.
dos
que
estilos
viene para acá.
a la vez. Ahí yo lo entiendo.
Es que se corta
De la guía ahí.
horizontal y luego como yo lo estaba haciendo,
Sí,
deja ahí quita volumen y cae el pelo mejor.
I didn't do that. But...
No, you good. What I want you guys to get.
And then,
Como- como-
siguiendo
como-
para la
como-
ahí.
que lo que él quiere que aprendan es como coger la tijera y la peinilla a la vez, ¿no? Sí, yo
Siguiendo la línea.
Yeah.
¿Ves?
The cutting part is the hard part.
¿Ves cómo
Just
sigue ahí?
getting comfortable with just holding the scissors in your hand with the comb. Because you're always used to having
No lo estoy diciendo
a
perfecto.
clipper
Yo sé.
versus,
Ven,
you know,
ven ahí.
scissors. So you naturally have to switch over and do all of these techniques. So getting familiar with just palming and holding the shears and the comb in your hand is like the big learning curve.
Yeah, that took me like a whole 3 days to.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve because you're so used to just holding the clippers all day that now you're having to learn something new that you have to palm, that you have to transfer in.
I still need work on this again. Ahí, corta todo eso. Ahí, va, peina ahora. Sigue para atrás. Ahí, ven. Mételo ahí. ¿Ves? Ahí. Sigue para atrás. Ve la perla.
He's so cute.
You gonna try?
¿Ah?
Yeah, sure.
Ven, ven, ven.
Dale, termina.
Sí, ya está. Ah, bueno. Y donde ya está llegando al final ahí está, se pone duro para cortar.
Tienes que volver a soltar y
Sí,
se
correcto.
revuelve para que no se vaya hasta allá arriba.
Alright, so when they're done, I'm gonna show you what you was asking on the other side.
Can we put it a little bit down? Right. Yeah, sorry, I'm really sure.
That's good?
That's perfect. Thank you, appreciate it.
Find your guide. Then you got, yeah, you don't have to worry about making so much of a straight cut because the hair is synthetic, it's not real human hair, so it's hard to cut anyways.
Basically, awesome, right there.
So, yes, please be careful.
Okay, it's part of the game.
Yeah, I've cut myself plenty of times.
As long as it's not with a dirty blade, which has happened to me.
Yeah.
Aesthetic hair is.
You gonna try? I mean, if you're in here, you might as well participate. Get your participation points.
No, it's cool.
What, exactly what we do?
Alright, so basically all we're doing here is learning the parting. So, say this customer had a natural part right there, alright? Natural part. So, and they wanted to take some hair off the top. Part it, grab your hair. That's your guy. Yeah, just cut it in a 90. The top you're gonna cut in a 90, and we're gonna get it to the side once everybody has a go around.
This is the hard part.
Oh no, you have to hold these, you have to get used to holding both of them in your hand. Palm, palm.
Esta es la medida.
So start off with the palm. Hold it. See, you already know how to do it.
Esta probablemente la que yo usaba, la media.
You do the part, you can also the
La
part.
más grande para
So
mí,
you can also put your fingers
la mano
on
chiquita, ¿no?
So the part.
She's a hard body.
You find
They do
the
fit.
part.
They do.
Taking 2 foot comb, and you're running it right along. You just grab that hair. You grab it. You grab it. Just hold on to it. So you comb.
Tomate en un par.
this hair just slipped aside, so let's get it.
Thomas cuts.
Come in.
I used to use Thomas this shit a lot.
Get used to that. Combing and grab it. Comb, grab it. Comb, grab it. Alright.
Comb,
Part. Make your cut. Don't be scared to cut. The scissors are sharp, so you just gotta, they're gonna cut through.
Go online, right?
Hmm?
Go online.
Yeah. My IG and my website, if you guys wanna follow.
Barberpole.com. Just meaning about it.
Just talk about
All right, so now let's move on to the next step. So our next step is going to be the sides. And I think we pretty much covered the top. So when you get to the sides, you start cutting it.
Shear and comb.
You can use a combination of shear over comb, or you can do the freehand too. And it really all depends on what you want to do. I usually like doing both. So I guess I'll show you guys some of both. Alright, so when we get to this part, we already know where our guy is. Now, all we're pretty much doing is the same parting, but now instead of bringing it in 90, we're going to bring it straight up to a 180, right? Away from the head, 180. So, we bring it straight up, we already see our guide, and then we just cut. All right, and we take our next part. See the guide? You guys see the guide?
Yeah, sí.
And then cut. So immediately, you already see the hair blending in.
So you're pretty much doing the same thing for.
Yeah,
sideways.
This is still a moving guide.
Right.
The only things that you're changing is the degree in which
Right.
you're cutting in.
Right.
Either a 90 or a 180. So,
Básicamente está haciendo lo mismo, pero a lo lado, ¿verdad?
take your moving guide and you travel all the way around.
That's where I've been having my issues at.
Now, like you was asking, how do I do the left side? Now, it gets a little tricky when you're working on the opposite side of what your dominant hand does. It gets a little tricky. What I like to do is either one or two things. We could either do this with scissor over comb, or, like I told you, we can start from the back, work our way up. Either way, you're gonna get the same result. If you're working from the front, what you would do, you'll take a piece of the hair from the top, since that's where your guide is, you comb it, hard it.
You doing the lefty stuff?
Yeah. So now you see where your guide is at. Your guide is over here.
Mm-hmm.
And you just cut.
The important part I noticed about barbers that I never was the way we write. When you go out ambidextrous,
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, just the opposite way.
nasty, you take your game to another level.
So you hard it. You're still just using the same moving guide. See your guide. And you cut. Everybody can see? Can you see?
Yeah.
You take your guide. And cut. If you ever get lost, just come back to the front. Find your guide. Start over. Work your way back. Who wants to go first?
Still good.
Ay, pero está
Nos confundió que
No.
fue la posición, todos son derechos. De mi sur.
Yeah, it took me a while to learn because sometimes it's not
He
easy.
found
Either
his
left
left,
hand
yeah.
or right, it's all confused.
Ya ves.
Tomas también, ¿verdad?
Él es
Sí,
un...
la mano, sí.
La tijera tiene que ser.
Sí.
Oh, I lost it.
Go back to the front.
No, yeah, no, I got it.
Find it?
Yeah, I found it. Lost it, man.
You lost it. It's cool. Go back to your front. Find it. Find your way back. And whoever wants to go next, just hand them the shears.
Next.
Who's next?
Like, I don't do that. Like, I can grab, but I would have to cut from the top down.
Yeah, you could cut from the top down, you can cut from the
Doesn't
bottom
matter
up.
which
It
way you
it doesn't
cut.
really matter which way you cut, as long as you're
I
achieving.
just feel like I wouldn't cut right, you know what I'm saying?
If you're cutting from the top down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll terminar.
I mean, as long as you're getting the look and you're not cutting into a cowlick or you're not going over your guide,
¿Cómo estás aquí?
you should be fine.
Vengo por aquí.
Ajá, ella había dicho la que.
The biggest problem you'll find is that you'll lose yourself with the guides.
If you don't learn how to cut, with shears, forget about it. You ain't never